Good morning. What is up, everybody? JTW here, ready for another Xtrades FOMO live stream. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. I see viewers starting to trickle in. Once you get here, make sure to pop into the chat, say hi. That way I know who's joined us so far this morning. Let me get our feed over to our friends in our Discord going. Just so they can kind of follow along. But again, for those who might be watching on Discord, please make sure that you head over to the Xtrades YouTube channel. That is where we have activated the live chat, and you guys can interact with me as far as asking questions or putting in your ticker requests once we get to the trade planning portion of the live stream. So for the few of you I see watching over in the Discord, please head on over to our YouTube stream. That is the best place to engage and interact with me. So we'll give folks just a couple of seconds here to start filtering in. While we're doing that, let's talk real quick about what we have coming up today as far as the economic calendar goes. Obviously, we had some key data yesterday, as well as Jerome Powell talking. Today we did have some data come in right here at 8:30 as far as imports and exports, as well as initial jobless claims. We do have some Fed speakers throughout the day today. In fact, several, pretty much going from 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time all the way to 7:30 p.m. I'm not sure where they're speaking at, but there must be some kind of symposium or something like that going on today where all these folks are speaking. It's Jerome Powell's one of the few not speaking today, but you've got Goolsbee, Barkin, Mester, Musalem, and Kugler all speaking today, starting at 12:15, going through the end of the day. So it could be kind of an interesting afternoon for price action for sure, with all that going on. And so far, market reacting kind of well to the data that did just get released here at 8:30. So let's see who all is over here in our YouTube chat. What's up, Unknown Reviews? What's up, Wayne? Good to see you. Good morning, Chris, my friend, my buddy. How are you? Good to see you here. Much harder to hear here than Discord. Sound muffled on YouTube. Is anybody else running into that? Please let me. Hey, what's up, All or Nothing? Good to see you here. Just another ape. I like that name. Anybody else having any kind of weird audio issues? Okay. I did, and actually, I'm glad that somebody mentioned this. I did switch it up, the stream settings to ultra low latency. So if there's any kind of issues with the stream at all today, please feel free to reach out. Let me know. Either let me know in the message in the live chat here on YouTube, or shoot me a DM or tag me in our Discord. Let me know, because I did make one slight change to how we're broadcasting this morning, where I switched from low latency to ultra low latency, just to see if, that has any impact on things whatsoever. So anyway, with that, let's talk a little bit about what we're looking at here with the markets. Obviously, we had kind of a wild day yesterday for price action. I mean, things just kind of shooting price way down, way up. A lot of that triggered by Jerome Powell talking yesterday afternoon. Some of this also to me seems just very much like a liquidity sweep or a stop punt before they decide to move things higher. This kind of move to the downside probably closed out a lot of positions that had any kind of automatic stop set on them, which kind of is actually a good point for me to talk about real quick. For those of you who might be using contract stops and basing that on a percentage and kind of putting things in place sort of shortly after you open the trade and just letting it close automatically, be a little bit careful with that, I guess, is the best way for me to say it. And the reason why I say that is because things like this can happen. Could happen in a in a 15-minute candle. Maybe your stop loss is right here at 52.57. If you're looking for sort of a mental stop, you could get essentially shook out of a trade that's still perfectly valid and intact with some sort of a liquidity sweep if you kind of stick to those automatic stops shortly after you open the trade, and especially if you're basing it on a percentage of your contract prices. generally speaking, I say have some kind of static element, whether that's a support and resistance, Fibonacci level, pivot, I don't care. Have something that is essentially a price level and use mental stops. Wait for a confirmed break of your stop loss. Anyway, real quick aside while I thought of that for those who may be running into that issue sometimes, like, oh man, I got stopped out because I had set it on my contracts, and within the same candle it got bought right back up, and now the trade's in perfectly good shape. That's all kind of stuff to just be mindful of as you sort of tweak your approach to trading and setting your stops and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, sorry for the aside. Let's get back to our discussion of the markets. What's going on here? Clearly we had a pretty clean rejection and good support pretty much all day yesterday. Good support off of this demand zone down here. Clean rejection right as we tried to get into the supply zone. We're now pushing into it here pre-market, so that's a good sign. We're also breaking over this 52.8475 where we had this clean rejection yesterday. The thing that I really like, and I was watching as I was kind of prepping things for the live stream and getting ready to talk about this, is I do like that we've now slid back over the 333 SMA. You guys hear me talk about this indicator all the time. It's a very simple one, but man, does it catch some very excellent bounces and rejections. Use it on all time frames is my opinion. So anyway, we fought with it, and then as we kind of headed into pre-market and right before this data dropped, again, no surprises here if you think about it. From a standpoint of charts tend to precede the news, this was kind of setting up for a move higher before the data even came out. The data just kind of accelerated the move, in my personal opinion. So that's always something to kind of keep in mind. But again, we've slid over this 333 SMA, and now we're holding it as support. We're getting a clean bounce off of it, pushing up over this 52.89. We do have the top of this current supply zone up here right at about 52.96. So keep that on watch. If we break through that, we could certainly see the market continue to push higher. If you're currently in any kind of long positions that you swung overnight that are heading as we head toward that 52.96 here on ES, make sure that you are scaling out as we get close to that, because generally speaking, or I guess I should say anecdotally speaking, I tend to see the way I draw my supply and demand zones, a lot of bounces and rejections, whether it be on the extreme edge of a supply zone or the extreme edge of a demand zone. Again, that's where I tend to see a lot of bounces happening or rejections happening there. Also at the entries, but kind of here in the middle, they can happen anywhere, especially if you've got a confluence, but we're pushing through that. So far, at least, so as long as we hold over 52.80, 52.89 here, I would definitely be looking for 52.96 as sort of the next potential resistance. And then over that, things look good to continue to the upside. Really, I think we get a lot of the noise out of the way at that point. So, anyway, let's check in on what's going on with the chat. Yeah, Cody, I'm not sure what's going on. I apologize that you're having an issue. If it was something everybody was experiencing, I would say it's something I can try to fix on my end. But yeah, maybe check your YouTube settings and all that stuff. Make sure that there's nothing there that's perhaps causing an issue. And I am going to send out a survey here to the Discord. In fact, I'll also post a link to it in one of the next YouTube live streams that we do, as far as putting out some kind of a survey to get folks feedback on what's been working well, what hasn't been working well. Do you like the transition to YouTube, all that sort of stuff? Would you prefer to see this in the Discord or try to run both? We haven't had any kind of technical difficulties running it in both, but I certainly do need to keep my kind of attention focused on just one chat versus trying to juggle both. So anyway, let's do some quick recaps, and then yeah, I do see some ticker requests coming in. Kieran, you get the SPY plan every day. I know that you're in our YouTube, or in our Discord community. If you want me to recap the daily SPY plan from yesterday, I guess we could take a look at that if that's what you're asking for. Certainly happy to kind of talk through that. I know that's something that people follow pretty adamantly, and rightfully so. It's got an extremely high accuracy and success rate. So let's talk about our member selected tickers. This one, looking at AMD, I've been a little bit aggravated by it personally. Just seeing, I think really it's not aggravated by AMD. I'm aggravated by where I maybe set my levels a little bit. I think I was a little too aggressive with my entry here on the put side of things. this is a really kind of, I don't know, early morning pump fake out. That can happen. But seeing something like this where we break down and we're rejecting, and then we kind of catch this next resistance down and ultimately recover over the stop loss, I think this one's really on me. Maybe I was, again, too aggressive with our put entry level down here on this AMD plan from the member selected tickers that we did over the weekend. So anyway, long story short, it does seem to be recovering nicely. Again, talked about the 333 over there on ES. Here we see it here on the 15-minute AMD buying contracts off of these 333 tests with the confluence there, with Neptune kind of fully bullish, especially in the buy ribbon right there. Great opportunities there on AMD. So looking for this one to continue to move to the upside as long as the market continues to the upside. I do like it kind of breaking over this pre-market resistance that we were seeing there for a little bit and pushing higher. Do have a weekly level just overhead though at 183.99, so kind of a tight window. I would certainly wait to see what happens if we get up and test that level again, and plan to potentially pursue. Golly, I made that alliterative unnecessarily. Pursue this trade plan. So anyway, AMD kind of a my bad on the put side of things. I think call side, I'm just surprised that didn't hold out. But again, there was an opportunity. There was an opportunity to kind of salvage the trade here with this bounce off the. Gosh darn it. Sorry. With this bounce off the stop loss average down there in the key buying zone of Neptune. Definitely could have recovered if you got a decent entry over here, recovered the trade and kind of maybe adjusted, seeing that things are continuing to find resistance shy of PT1 there. So anyway, that's AMD. Marathon Digital here, crypto miner. We were looking for this to play puts to the downside below 2139. That has played out. We've gotten to PT1. We're trying to now reclaim it as support. Looks like we caught there in the extended hours close to this 4-hour level here at 1926 and have tried to push up off that. But again, don't be greedy. Sometimes PT1 is all we're going to get. Make sure that you are adjusting your stops as the trade plays out. Certainly if you're in puts still, I would not want to be holding them too much longer if it gets back over 2036. That's where I'd be looking to kind of stop out for profit or just over break even, depending on what your entry was, as well as your contracts and your strikes. But if you got in on any of these back tests below the put entry and we're in before this gap down, you should still be in pretty good shape here on Marathon. So anyway, that's where we're sitting at with that one. And then Intel, this one unfortunately made moves without us. A little bit of an attempted fake out. Again, I don't really like that as an entry personally. That's just not showing me a lot of confidence, especially with that big sell wick and this indecision candle right here. A lot of times when you see these sort of flat dojis like that, after a big pump to the upside or the downside, that tends to signal a probable reversal, in my opinion or in my experience. And as you can see, that certainly happened. We flipped everything bearish there on Neptune, and it's just kind of tumbled all the way down since. Now we're below PT3, holding above this weekly level though at 40.06. Could potentially be, let's take a quick look, see how this is in. Let's go to a slightly higher time frame just because it'll be easier and quicker for us to get to where we want to go. It didn't really get utilized that much, although this is an interesting little flip. There could be a level here that I don't have yet in it on my chart yet, or just maybe have missed. Noticing that right where we're testing here this morning, though, pre-market, a little bit of a flip where we had a big pump, caught resistance, and then flipped it to support, continued higher right off this pre-market low that it seems to be testing. I'm sorry, yeah, just above that. No, actually, that's pretty close to the pre-market low. So it's got a little bit of work to do before it flips things bullish from an indicator perspective, but kind of a decent value area. And also you could run a tight stop on this if you wanted to try to buy the dip on this. If it drops below 40.06, I would definitely keep a tight stop on this. It does look overall bearish. Hershey's we did on the Tuesday live stream. Really kind of nothing to see here. It's just sort of been ping-ponging between our stop loss average down levels. Currently with a bearish lean. I know cocoa futures have been like running like crazy. So, I'm not sure if that is directly negative for Hershey's. I suppose it could be because I'm sure that means cost of goods are higher for them, but who's to say they don't wind up passing that down to the customer, which is what most of these companies do. So keep an eye on this. Was an interesting request that somebody from our YouTube dropped in the chat on Tuesday. So really kind of nothing to see here. Still looking for a break over 204.08 to play these upside targets, or a break below 192.73 to play these downside targets with your stop losses right there and there. All right, play, which is Dave and Buster's. This was an interesting one. Again, kind of told folks be very careful swinging this. I really never ever recommend doing any kind of a straight, calls puts position going into an earnings report. You can calendar spread, you can debit spread. There's all different ways to try to play earnings. Personally, I just like to play the run up and the reaction after. I don't personally like to swing a lot of contracts through earnings reports unless it's a like a elite position that I'm already well up on the profit side of things. Then I might consider it, but generally speaking, I don't want my money going through an earnings report. If I've got free runners, fine, I'll swing those through an earnings report. But outside of that, not of much interest to me personally. So what do we see here on Dave and Buster's play? Drop down, held this PT1, 333 confluence, also with the 200 right below there. So kind of a double confluence there with both of those moving averages, giving an area of support right there at PT1. Pull back up toward the put entry and then ultimately drop back down. Again, if you decided to swing through earnings report, that's a little bit on you. I certainly would have scaled out for whatever profits I had going into the end of day here. And as you can see, ultimately, earnings report was favorable. Generally speaking, you can't really rely on TradingView's data points here. And I'm not going to burn up our live stream time to go look up the ER data. If this is correct, I'm kind of surprised it moved to the upside unless they gave some really strong guidance, which is possible. But that earnings report move did take it all the way up over PT3 for calls going into the day yesterday. So, if you happen to catch that move, congratulations. But overall, I think this trade plan is played out on both sides. Probably not one that we're going to revisit any longer. So there was a quick request. If you guys want me to take a quick look at the SPY plan from yesterday, so that's the one that I'll still have up here. Again, if you're in our Xtrades Discord, this gets posted every morning pre-market. So SPY yesterday, looking at the 5-minute chart here, and again, this would have been a little bit of a tough one to play with this massive move on that data that came out there at 10 o'clock. However, I did like this. In fact, I even mentioned this as we pushed up over and started rejecting. We got a really clean rejection of PT2 there. So again, this was our entry level there at 519.15. We had targets at 519.72, 520.31. Off this rejection, we would have the exact high of day to the penny there. But we did pull back. I said if this holds the 333 as support, it could push higher. Certainly that's what happened. I put that out in the chat yesterday. Talked about the 333 several times. Now we're seeing it here on the 5 minutes. So hope you guys are starting to use this. It's an easy indicator, free for anybody to go find. If you're an Xtrades member, please feel free to reach out to me or reach out to somebody from the Xtrades team if you'd like access to my ultimate moving averages indicator. That lets you load pretty much every kind of moving average you could think of, or really kind of all the common ones that have kind of TA functions in TradingView. I do offer that free to anybody who is a paying Xtrades member. But going back to this 333 hold, again, held that nicely, pushed up off of it, pretty much topped out. I mean, we kind of got some prints just above, but nothing really looking like a good confirmed break there. So I will say that our PT3 from the pre-market plan was really kind of our high of day resistance. It wasn't the exact high of day, but it was the key resistance. And then we saw some cleaner rejections here, dropping back to that 333 again for a second time in the buy flag there. So, I mean, if you missed it here, you had another opportunity here, and it got bought right back up immediately, took you right back to PT3. And then I think this was just, again, more of a shake out, fake out. Let's kind of be a dog shaking its toy as far as the street traders go, with retail traders being the toy in their mouth, just trying to shake them out before they push things higher, which we're now seeing here this morning. And we're breaking out over that PT3, or actually PT5 that I added from yesterday after clearing above this PT4 that we added in case PT3 broke. That was our pre-market resistance. So again, I've said it many times. I hope you guys are leveraging this SPY plan to your advantage. It makes a lot of people a lot of money, and it's very easy to follow, in my opinion. So anyway, I hope that that's helpful for those of you who do try to follow the daily SPY plan. So we've got about 20-ish plus minutes left. Let's get to some of these ticker requests. Let's put together some plans. First one I got, Kura Sushi. Okay. Let's see. I don't hate the obscure ticker requests. And this is from Unknown Reviews. Got in here early, got that request in early. I've never heard of Kura Sushi. One thing I am going to want to take a look at, though, is I feel like you keep asking me for ones that are reporting earnings the same day. That's something we probably want to try to avoid. The other thing I want to check is volume. Yeah, so anything that's south of 1 million shares traded on the 30-day average, and this is south of 100,000 shares traded on a 30-day average, price action is going to be incredibly unpredictable and unreliable, in my opinion. We also have earnings coming up. If you have another request unknown, feel free to put it in, and I'll kind of bump it to the top of the list. But this is one that just it's probably one that you're interested in, but I don't think it's a very effective ticker for us to put a plan together that's going to work well for most who are following these live streams. Just because, again, this volume is my big issue. I don't, again, I don't love doing trade plans for things that are reporting earnings the same day, because it's pretty much, you're almost forced into swinging through earnings if you're going to try to follow the plan in its entirety. But the thing that I kind of can't abide is volume that is that low. Just too much of a X factor there with easy to manipulate the price action on something that just has very, very low volume like this. So I don't mean to kind of bump you, but if you have a second request, like I said, I'm happy to pick that up and run with that one for you. But I don't think that this is going to be an effective use of our time, unfortunately. So just being perfectly honest, definitely want to help you, but this one just kind of doesn't fit our parameters. So let's see, we've got coin as our next request that I see here in the chat, and Chris always seems to find these banging trade setups. So let's take a look at this. And coin kind of playing through some old trade plan levels here, actually, it looks like. Let's see, this looks like a put trade plan. Maybe we only did a put side trade plan. No, it's old call side trade plan. I'm not sure, but let's figure it out. Oh, Coin got some news this morning. Okay, that's good to know. What's the news? Coinbase gets restricted dealer license in Canada. So I guess maybe they didn't have any. They didn't have any kind of access or licensure in Canada, and now they've got at least some kind of exposure to, I guess, Canadian crypto markets, which is definitely a good thing for them. For coin, I mean. So let's take a look at it. That's an interesting catalyst, and I know coin has good volume. Don't need to check that. All right, does have a lot of gaps, but again, not surprising with the way that crypto's been moving lately. Let's take a look at this on a slightly higher time frame real quick. Just want to kind of get an idea of price action first before I start layering in indicators and all that sort of stuff. Interesting resistance touches here. I think we're gonna have to go back quite a ways probably to see coin doing anything up in this price range, which I don't think we're gonna spend a ton of time trying to get back that far. Here we go. Just looking at some of this historical price action, see if this can't help clarify where some of these levels are. This is definitely of interest right here. Let's see where that fits as far as this recent price action goes. Yeah, it's pretty close to what I was looking for. All right, I've already got the higher time frame levels on here. This is an interesting 4-hour level, though. Ignore. Interesting break above, back test pushing us higher. Just lots of scammy wicks on this thing at the moment, but that's all right. Not everything's easy to trade. I think we also have a 4-hour level here that we're going to want to pay attention to. Let's see what else we've got. Definitely seems like there's a level hanging out up in this range. I'm torn. Oh, nope. There's something there for sure. I don't know. I'm interested by this level, but I'm not really convinced. So let's just take a quick look at it as well. Kind of looking at that as a potential call entry level, the way things tend to try to move once it gets over that. So let's run back here a little bit to where we can see if we can sort of vet that level out a little bit better. Yeah, it was part of this gap back here. Gaps are always interesting. I've talked about that. Yeah, that is a pretty good level, actually. We're not just making it up to suit our immediate needs. This is this level for real. All right. So we kind of got 4-hour levels all saturated in there. This daily level, I wonder if it is just a touch lower. I think it sits more like right there. All right, so yeah, we're looking for a break above that level. I think we can set our stop loss right about here. Below that, rejections and continuation to the downside looks fairly likely. You know what, actually, I think we can switch this up. I'm going to change this around real quick. Sorry, I'm looking at this slightly differently. Yeah, I'd be looking for this to break here at, what is that, 263.95. We are looking for a first target up here at this daily level. That's really what I was thinking. I think I just lost track of what levels I was watching as I was moving the chart left and right there. This is an interesting double top, but again, double top by itself doesn't really help all that much. So let's, again, see if we can't find this level actually confirming as a support resistance level. Well, there we go. Gap, bounce, rejection. I'm already liking it. Yeah, seeing some other clean touches back here. Break above, back test pushes higher. Yeah, I think we've got something there. So that's a good PT2, I'd say. Then PT3, again, interesting potential topping action around here at 287.65, but not really, again, by itself that useful. Is catching resistance back here, though. Resistance there again. The thing that this is lacking so far, and now I'm seeing a little bit of it, is at least some support tests. So there's, let's say I'd shoot it a little bit lower just to be on the safe side. It's not a well-tested level, but this is the one that I'm kind of looking at. Yeah, up in this range of these two candles. We confirm this to be a 4-hour level, so let's switch that. And this one I'm going to kind of just say it's still somewhat speculative. Stop loss average down right here that we're fighting over here pre-market. So I like that for the upside of things, and then we'll check our indicators here in a second, make sure everything still agrees. This is an interesting level right here for sure. Wonder if we could use it as a put entry. I think we can. Yeah, here's what we're going to do. So we do have a 4-hour level here. Put entry. Yeah, I'm going to say below. Yeah, below this level here. First price target. I think we're looking at probably right about here. So maybe at a, like a 1-to-1 risk reward on this downside setup. I have a feeling if we take a look at the indicators, which we will here in a second, it's going to be overall a bullish setup, which would make sense for downside to look fairly limited at this point. And honestly, I don't hate this second target being this weekly level. I know those seem kind of tight, but we're in an area of tighter price action. Lots of support and resistance levels in there. I do like this. We came a little shy of it on this pre-market bounce here, but overall, this level seems to be kind of the more attractive level to me, the one that has more response to it from buyers and sellers. So, kind of a small, tight downside trade plan. Let's actually, before we go too far, take a look at this, and let's take a look at it on the hourly. That's where I really like to start evaluating things. So, yeah, if we break over this 261.02, I mean, small chance that we could still find a top with Neptune sitting right there at 265, but just based on the price action, I think that that's really kind of the, yeah, I like that as a, I don't know, actually, now I'm looking at this hourly chart, I'm second guessing myself a little bit. I guess it's really the where Neptune's sitting at that has me second guessing. You know what? Let's be. I did this with AMD. I'm not going to do it again, right? We just talked about that. Maybe got one level too aggressive on that AMD plan. I'm not going to do it again here on coin. The other thing I think we can do, though, now that I'm looking at this hourly chart, is also make a slight adjustment and tighten up this stop loss level up to here, which still gives us, I think, a pretty good risk-reward scenario. So, break over Neptune, should be good to go. Should make some moves to the upside from there. Like that setup. Anything that changes my mind about this downside setup, nope, that would put us below the 333. Would put us below the bullish trend ribbon here on Neptune. So I think downside does open up below that. I think we're good to go. All right, so here is the coin trade plans. Or I should say are the trade plans. Copy image. Let's put this over in here for our friends in the Discord. One coin trade plan from the morning live stream. All right. There you go. So, what are we looking for here on Coinbase? I'm going to talk you through the trade plans here. We're looking for a break over this 265.75 level. That should give us targets at 271.16, 276.71, and 287.37, with a stop loss average down here at 261.02. To the downside, we're looking for a break below, what level is that? 249.52. That should give us targets at 242.23, 239.55, and 235.28, with a stop loss average down up here at 255.93. Those are your coin trade plans, and if Chris asks for it, it's probably going to be a banger no matter which direction it decides to go. Thank you, Chris, for the request. I appreciate it. Very, very helpful as always. All right, so we had coin, and then we had from Deidre here, QCOM. Let's see if we can't get to that one. QCOM, I think I should still have some levels on, but it may be levels from forever ago, from a much lower price range, or maybe, God, I swear I've done a trade plan on QCOM at some point. Doesn't look like it, though. Okay, well, maybe I hallucinated that, or maybe I have those levels on a different layout. That's also a possibility, but I try to put them all in the same layout. That way I don't lose track of where they are. All right, well, it is what it is. Let's see if we can't figure out a range that we're going to want to focus on for this QCOM trade plan. I think we've got our low range right here. I wouldn't expect it to drop too much lower than this as far as near future goes, which is really what we're planning for here. Lots of topping action up here. Obviously, we've got some prints a little bit higher, though. Interesting double top up here. Not a confirmed weekly level, more of what I like to call a golden ceiling. Let's make that a little more gold looking. Because that's sort of the all-time high. If we break that, blue skies from there. All right, so let's start dialing in the rest of our levels here. Yeah, I think we've got a weekly level here. anything in between that. This is an interesting little bounce. Actually, yeah, we've got enough touches within a reasonable range of that to make that a level. Could be testing weekly level here pre-market. I think we definitely are. So that's interesting. Could be looking for a break of the pre-market highs to make a move up. Does this give us anything? All right, not much else we're going to see here on this weekly chart because there's just not a lot of price history here. So let's move it to the daily chart. And I know we're going to have to get most of our levels from this point forward up in this range. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of scroll back to this. Yeah, that's a pretty convincing daily level. Let's take a look at it's not confirmed, so we're going to look at that on a different time frame. That's pretty much it for daily levels up in that range. Do have one here right around this weekly level. It's actually just a little bit lower, I think, right? That's good. Right about there. Let's expand this a little bit. And does this help us with anything? Noticing a little double bottom action there, some support. Let's see if we use this on this move back to the upside. Not really. So not gonna force that level. This is an interesting triple bottom actually. Well, double bottom, back-to-back days, but there's another support test in there. The one thing that we're missing that I'd really like to see. I do like some of these support touches, but there's a kind of a resistance touch. And that's probably all the price action we have to go with. It's a little bit thin, this daily level. When I say thin, there's not a lot sort of establishing it, but I can see it. It's one that you'll just have to hopefully trust me on, I guess, what I'm trying to say there. And I think we have one here as well that I just saw, double top here. Double tops, double bottoms, those are always nice. Like, does that grab your attention, make you want to start looking at a support and resistance level? For me, typically the answer is yep. All right, so let's do some quick 4-hour levels, see what we've got in the mix here, and then I think we'll be good to shift to our hourly chart and finalize this trade plan and fill in the gaps while we do that. Oh yeah, something there for sure. Lots of topping here. Tried to get some support off it, but that wick's a little bit low. I'm gonna draw this level real quick though, just so I don't lose sight of it as we backtrack through some of this old price action. See if that doesn't confirm this level for us. Yeah, nice rejection there. Yeah, the one thing it's still missing is any real good support tests. I'm surprised by that a little bit. There's one little tiny one, but man, it's not great as far as the support test goes. We'll leave that there for now. I think it's a level we'll pay attention to, but nothing that we'll find out if it becomes important to the trade plan, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, anything else 4-hour wise that looks interesting or intriguing in this range? Let's also check through this real quick. Sorry, I should have, while we were back here, gone ahead and done this little range. Sorry, I know moving my chart around like that's probably like giving people motion sickness. So my apologies if you maybe take some Dramamine before the live stream. I try to move through this stuff quickly though. All right. Let's see. Yeah, got another level right there we're going to pay attention to. And man, looks like there's something in there. It's just not super clear. I feel like it's a little bit lower. Yeah, it could be right here. There is kind of an area of little support or resistance established up here, but again, we're kind of running up into an area where QCOM hasn't spent a lot of time. So, all right, let's take a look at the hourly chart. What is this? This is January of 22. I'll go back to that to start with. That should get us close enough. That's a little easier than the speed through motion sickness move. All right, interesting gap down off this level. Does seem to be a pretty clear resistance. Almost said support. Tried to find support just above it. I think there is something here though. Again, not a lot of price action for us to work with here, but what we got tells me that we weren't going to want to pay attention to that level and this level as well. Came a little shy of it right here, but that sometimes, especially when it's a relatively new level. All right, so let's go from here. I think I got a pretty good idea of what I want to do with this coin trade plan, which is take an entry over 177.64. And let me just check this again. It seems a little large of a move over 177.64, but I want to check through it one more time. Sorry, I'm doing it in motion sickness mode. I'll stop calling it that as well. It's probably not helping. All right, so yeah, there is an hourly level right in here that makes the plan kind of tight. I don't love that. But I don't think it's a real factor actually on getting a move up to this 180.27 level, to be perfectly honest. It's kind of where we hit and rejected from. We could essentially reclaim that move back to the upside. So I'm going to stick with where I was looking at initially. Second price target, again, I think we could maybe have an hourly level, although this time I think it's a factor. It's probably sitting right about here. And then PT3 on up here. Stop loss average down. This is an interesting double top. Pretty close. I'm seeing some. Let's see if this level holds up here in the recent price action. If it does, I think we've got something. Yeah, I'm seeing some rejections below, some attempts to hold that. I think that's adequate room for the plan to work out. Let's go with it. So that'll be our upside trade plan. Downside, I like it below this kind of speculative level with a stop here at this weekly level. That kind of just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. I also think that that gives us a move down to 169.49 with a second target at this weekly level. We may need to add a third level. Yeah, right in here. We could wind up holding this. I know it's a tight PT 2 and 3, but looks like a pretty solid base QCOM is built up. And overall, market's bullish, but let's also throw our indicators back in here, see if that kind of gives us any confirmation on any of this stuff. No real issues overhead from an hourly perspective. Do lose the bullish momentum below 172.75. 333, 200 will be near that PT1, so I would say scale out heavy. PT1 if you play this to the downside, if it works out to the downside. But let's go back through this. Let me throw these long and short positions on here, share the charts, and then I'll talk you guys through the plan. And then, yeah, I think that that's going to call it for this morning's live stream. But let's copy this link. Get over to YouTube. This is QCOM trade plan. And let me also drop it in the Xtrades stream plan. It's over in the options watch list. All right, so let's talk through these trade plans real quick. On QCOM, we're looking for a break over 177.64 for continuation to the upside. That should give us targets at 180.27, 181.79, and 184.03, with the stop loss average down at 175.45. The downside, we're looking for a break below 172.75. That should give us targets at 169.49, 167.92, and 166.92, with a stop loss average down at 174.09 weekly level. Those are your QCOM trade plans. All right, and with that, we are 15 minutes from market open, so it's time for me to start working on the daily SPY plan so I can get that posted for our community at Xtrades and our Discord. As a quick reminder, there will be no live streams in the month of April from the 16th through the 22nd, I believe it'll be. I'll be out of the country for my wedding. I will do my best to get daily SPY plans posted if and when I can while I'm away, but clearly won't be able to take the time to do a full live stream, and honestly I'm probably not going to be totally aware of what the market's been doing the way I normally am at that time anyway, so probably just going to watch me sit here and struggle trying to catch up with what's happened. So with that being said, as we always suggest here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans. If you don't have a plan of your own, trade one of mine. For those in our Xtrades Discord, I will see you guys in the chats today, and to all of you who joined me today, thank you so much. We will be back next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that, I wish you all the best of luck. Go out there, secure the bag, have a fantastic day. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you for joining me.